Good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy. And as always, thank you guys for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Blue Sports Report. Without you guys, this literally does not work. Let's get open for business here on this Wednesday morning. And thank you for joining this morning's edition of Don't Sleep on the Dallas Cowboys. Because you literally cannot sleep on the Dallas Cowboys. Things happen late in the evening, late at night, first thing in the morning, so you want to be up to speed with all that is America's team. And in case you've been under a rock, and you didn't hear Stephen Jones's press conference, let me just give you a quick recap of what went on with that. I always tell you, pay attention to Stephen Jones, because when Stephen Jones speaks, it's generally speaking pretty much what the Dallas Cowboys are doing. Stephen Jones, I truly believe, is now the power center of the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, Jerry Jones is there and has the final say, but from the time he took the card, that draft card from Jerry, and said, we're not drafting Johnny Manziel, that literally changed how everything has gone on. And you can look at the Dallas Cowboys and you can talk about, it's been since 95 since we won the Super Bowl, but the Dallas Cowboys have evolved since about 2010. It used to be when we got to the draft, we were wheeling and dealing like crazy, moving up and down the draft, trading left and right, things like that, signing free agents, overspending on contracts. But the change happened once we hired Will McClay, head of scouting. That stabilized the franchise. And make no mistake, we were still making up for mistakes that happened through the course of all that time. The changes in coaches, the overplaying and bad contracts of players and things. Bad drafts. You look at the 2009 draft, that set the franchise back. I don't care what anybody else will tell you, but that year, that draft, that literally 3 years after it, I think every player who was drafted was out of football, not just off the Cowboys, out of football. It was so bad that this year's draft class of the Dallas Cowboys that have over 3,600 snaps as rookies had more snaps than the 2,400 snaps of that draft class. We stopped making moves like two number ones for Joey Galloway or a first and a second for Roy Williams or signing a TO. The team stabilized and started drafting their own and finding their own. And that, I think, a lot is attributed to Stephen Jones. Stephen Jones is the no-nonsense guy. He's the sheriff. He is the judge, jury, and executioner now of the Dallas Cowboys. So pay attention to Stephen Jones and when he speaks. And he put it out there that, listen, Dak, he's done everything above and beyond. He's going to get taken care of. Zeke Elliott, he's going to get paid like Todd Gurley is. They've already put in the first offer to DeMarcus Lawrence. They're going to bring him back. And players like Cole Beasley, we love Cole Beasley. We want to bring him back, but we understand it's about money, and he's going to have opportunities. He talked about Allen Hurns. He says Allen Hurns will be ready by training camp. And you look at what he's done in Jacksonville, he is, if we can't keep Cole Beasley, a guy that you want to have back. And then, of course, we had Randy Gregory get suspended. Then we hear, of course, somebody who's not actually a Dallas Cowboy anymore, but of course they're talking about him like he is, David Irving, who may be suspended for a year for his issues. He's a free agent. So they keep saying Dallas Cowboys defensive end. David, he's not Dallas Cowboys. He's a free agent. And we need to treat him as such. He is no longer with the family. So that's where it stands with Stephen Jones. Today, he did say one other thing yesterday. He said, no one wants to see Jason Garrett succeed more than the Jones family. Nobody is in a better position with the Jones family. Nobody is better loved by anybody than he is by the Jones family. But with that being said, we have a young team, and we need to achieve more from the ball boy to the coaches to the staff, everybody. and that includes Jason Garrett. It is a win now mentality. And Jason Garrett, if they don't win, won't be there. He didn't put that last part, but basically put it on notice. That's why he's not getting the contract extension. So, today, Jason Garrett gets to speak. And it'll be interesting to see how his demeanor is. The last time we really heard him speak was after the end of the season. Jason Garrett gave you the post-game speech that he always gives. I'm proud of our team, the way we fought back and we competed and everything else. And yada, yeah, okay. We'll see if there's a sense of urgency now from here on out, because now his job and ass is on the line. So now that we have, as Stephen Jones put it, their places of need, safety, and we know they've had discussions about bringing in a safety, defensive line, even before Randy Gregory, as well as tight end and running back. So here's how we sit, and we're going to do this. I've got some things I have to do for something later today, so I'm going to get this going. I got work I got to do too. Here's where we are right now. Because we let Terrence Williams go, okay, we are now at $48.3 million of cap space, which is good. But knowing that we're going to pay Dak, knowing that we're going to pay Zeke, knowing that we're to DeMarcus Lawrence, that money gets eaten up real quick. They can be creative with the cap, okay, because you can make contracts that the first year's actual payment is low and you have a bigger signing bonus or guaranteed money and you spread it out over the life of the contract. So conceivably, you can sign DeMarcus Lawrence to a $20 million contract and you can make it so it's only a $12 million hit. Thus, same thing with Dak Prescott. You're basically just giving more guaranteed money and dividing it up over the years. And then the first couple of years, you pay $1 million or $2 million. You can do that with Amari Cooper. You can take his contract. You can take, like, okay, let's go down here. You could take Amari Cooper's contract, for example, and I've told you guys this, that's 13.9. You can extend him, give him a going rate contract, and make it so his cap number this year could be, 8 or 9 million. So you can create money. But when you look at this, the numbers that are, and I hope you guys can see this, and hopefully I've been doing some stuff. I think I've figured out what the problem is with the mic. I haven't heard any complaints, so let me know how the sound is. And I've also been figuring out how to balance this system with the live streaming system. So hopefully I won't have to touch this anymore and mess up. So let me know on that. I'm Technology Challenge. I'm learning this as I go along. But here's what we've got. What you'll notice is when you look at the top 7 or top 8 players on this list, most of them are offensive linemen. A third of our money is spent on the offensive line of our cap. Tyron Smith, number 1. Zach Martin, number 2. Travis Frederick, number 4. And then you got Lyle Collins at number 7. Money, that's all in the offensive line. And if you had the offensive line playing like they did in 2016 or 2014, you say that's okay. We had it better than what we got last year for the amount of money that we paid. And right now, we've got holes we got to fill. So these are, and I'm not recommending any of these things. I'm not saying, because it's hard. I wouldn't want to be the GM. I'm not a GM. I just play one here on YouTube. It's hard because these are like family members. But you have to look at this thing, not with your heart, but with your head, and understand that if I take a player here and replace him with somebody else that may not be quite as good, but I'm able to put somebody better over here, which is a spot of need, is the team better overall? And that's what you have to look at every single day in the NFL. And you can best believe the Cowboys are having these discussions. Zach Martin, best guard in football, and even on one leg, you're not going to do that. Tyron Smith is beginning to break down, but you're not going to find somebody who is as good as Tyron Smith. So what you have to understand is you got to plan for Tyron Smith being out for a few games, and that's one of the things why you look and say maybe you re-sign Cam Fleming, because he got some experience with that. He's got Super Bowl experience and things like that. The big key on that is we ended up spending the $10 million on Travis Frederick, and he wasn't there. If Travis Frederick is back, all of a sudden you're adding a Pro Bowl, consistent Pro Bowler to the mix, and that's going to be a hell of a boost for your offensive line. And then you get to La'el Collins, and that's where La'el Collins, I met him years ago, one of the nicest guys you will ever meet. He's got a smile that will light up a room, and I still believe he's a better guard than tackle. But you have to look at that number as you start figuring out that $9 million, I really might as well say $10 million. Is that the best location for your funds? I don't have the answer for that one, because you've got to have somebody else that can play tackle, and tackle is damn important. The question is do you take a Connor Williams and try and fatten him up and make him a tackle, and maybe use someone else at guard? Don't have the answer for that. Just putting that out there. But these are ways that you have to start looking at the team. And as we go through too, and this is the one that it would be painful to do and see happen, because you know that a guy who literally had his leg broken off still held on to the football for us. And that's Allen Hurns. But you still got to look at $5 million. And when you think of, do we keep Allen Hurns or do we keep Cole Beasley? You can't give Cole Beasley a new contract and pay him as well and still not have a defensive line. So that's another spot. Somebody who needs to develop, who thus far has been a disappointment, who is a bargain right now, is Taco. Taco's got to get an opportunity. Taco's got to get hungry and show that he wants to be there. So you start looking at these things and saying, where do we go? Because we actually have been spoiled. Because you look at what we paid the quarterback. This is the first year that Dak Prescott will actually make over $1 million, because it's the option year. The fourth year of his contract. First three were $800,000 and under. We have the lowest quarterback pay in the NFL, and the good thing about that is it enabled us to eat some of the bad contracts that we had before. Des Bryant, Tony Romo's and things, to give us some time. But this guy is due. You got to pay him. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And all those people that keep saying that, oh, well, you know, he should take 15 years when bums, guys that are being traded for fourth round draft picks are making 23, 24 million. You can't do that. And granted, all quarterbacks may be overpaid, but it's what the market will bear. So that's where we stand with what we have to do. And the team is going to have to look at this, because now that Randy Gregory is not going to be part of the team, you have to look at free agency a little different. You have to start saying that we may need to go get not just depth, we may need to go get actual starters. And that's where you start upgrading and saying, do we pay $2 million for a guy who probably will just be a depth guy, or do we look at paying $6 million to a guy who's a starter? And that's where we are right now. And in order to do that, you have to decide who on here is expendable, or, oh, one other person too. This is another one that hurts, I'm sorry. This is another one that you look at too. Sean Lee, $10 million. Sean Lee, I think the Cowboys will go to and say, we need to redo, not restructure, redo your contract. Because $10 million is a lot of change. And that's the difference of getting another tight end or another defensive lineman or something like that. Maybe you go through and say, look, Sean, if you cut, we still have to pay you $3 million. See what I'm saying right here? $3 million, it will still cost us to cut Sean Lee. Sean, how about you play for $4 million this year? So we have to pay him $3 million on the cap. Why not say, Sean, we want you to be back. We want you to be a player coach on the field. How about you take $4 million for next year? This will give us the opportunity, with that $6 million we save, to go out and get somebody to try and help you get a Super Bowl. And I see my battery's getting low on my Mevo, which means I'm talking too much. But I'm going to wind this up, and we'll have this discussion a little bit later. But as always, friends, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, and subscribing to the Joe Boost Sports Report. I'll see you soon.